talk with us. After Noah's finished talking, we have Kiddush and Motzi here, and then the Oneg in the Oneg room. Noah is the Resource Development Manager at the Israeli Gay Youth, I'm sorry. Youth.
I'm sure you're
It's getting there. And last but not least, please look at the handout about the upcoming event on November 17th. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom. Thank you for inviting us to be your guest here in this lovely community. You have been very kind for us, all of you. And therefore, it's not a surprise that our weekly Parashat, VaYera, opened with the description of Abraham's amazing hospitality. So it figures, I guess.
The gays, we know how to do it.
In the continuing phrases, this so intense parasha is dealing with the binding of Isaac. Yeah, the same old story that has so many interpretations, in which the most common is that God wanted to check if Abraham will be willing to sacrifice the most precious thing, his son, which is actually our nation's future. We've been taught at elementary school, well, back in Israel at least, that Abraham succeeded in this test because he fulfilled God's will and led his son to the altar without questioning it any further. But we know that our God is good and kind, so how possibly can we even start to explain when he had initiated this experiment in the first place? It's just unlogical. The answer, as I see it, can be found within the compassion that was commanded by the Torah. Abraham, you see, he succeeded in this test. He did it pretty well, in flying colors. But his succession wasn't rooted in his agreement to the sacrifice, but in the fact that at the end, he didn't do it. Abraham stood there with a knife in his hand, but at the moment of truth, he abstained. His eyes weren't focused on the soon-to-be martyr youth, but on the surrounding trees, desperately looking for a different, non-human victim. That was his real success. That's exactly the winning of the Jewish human morality over the blind faith. 3 months ago, a masked gunman entered a venue of LGBT youth activity in Tel Aviv. He was loaded by the belief that gay men, lesbians, transgenders and bisexual doesn't have the right to live. He was well fed by many people that won't miss a chance to spread the message of hate. And even worse than that, to claim that his hate is driven by God's orders. The killer wasn't looking around. He didn't search for compassion, hence for God. He gazed directly on the kids, our kids, and shot. As a result, 15 youth were wounded, and 2 were murdered. Nir, who was one of the counselors, and Liz, only 15 years old child. As an opposite to Abraham, the father of our nation, the killer didn't do well in God's test. In front of his world, a world in which the faith can win over the most basic moral values, our parasha teaches us that in the real Judaism, the morality always wins. Without that, our faith is nothing but an empty jar. Now, in the extra curriculum, today's Maftir, we read about the miracles generated by the prophet Elisha. Among others, we can see a double miracle. Not only that an old woman is giving birth, the prophet brings her dead son back to life. In our reality, as for today, it can't happen. No one can bring Nir and Liz back to us. But your hospitality and support gives us the strength to keep being there for other thousands of LGBT teens in Israel. And they are, just like Isaac, who was saved from the knife, constitutes our future as a nation. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I just wanted to say, Sunday at Hollywood High School, in Hollywood, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is another H1N1 vaccine clinic, and people who are under 65 with immune disorders or serious medical conditions, and everyone under 25 who's at least 6 months